Trade talks are heating up in San Jose as a report reveals a wild trade is on the horizon for the San Jose Sharks. Plus, a young prospect continues to dominate the juniors, paving his way to the San Jose Sharks. We're going to break it all down for you guys coming up on this episode of Sharks Digest. But before we get into it, we got to say that 91% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up on the latest Sharks news heading into the deadline and into the draft, we got a video for you every day, keeping you posted on what's happening around San Jose. But with that said, we got to jump right into this because we got a big trade coming here for the San Jose Sharks. And now that the Four Nations face-off is over and we're back into NHL mode, the trade deadline is almost just a week away on March the 7th, and we are going to see a lot of talks start to escalate here in San Jose with the veterans that like Mario Ferraro and the guy we're going to talk about today potentially being moved here at the deadline. And we did get a report today from Sheng Peng on Twitter. He said Sturm believes that he's likely to be traded at the March 7th deadline. So it seems to hear that if he's telling media he's likely going to be traded, that Mike Grier and the San Jose Sharks have talked to him about this and saying if something comes up, hey, we're going to have to ship you off here. No, there's no harm in doing that, but it's also great for Sturm because he also gets to go on to one of these contending teams and fight in the playoffs this season, and he's a guy who you can ship off, get a pick or a low-end prospect back in return, and then you can even go out and sign him in free agency next year. But he also says here, that said, if the opportunity affords itself, he's open to re-signing with the San Jose Sharks. And I think Nico Sturm is a very good bottom six center on a lot of teams in the NHL, and I think he's been great for San Jose. He might not be putting up the point numbers like a big center would be in the NHL, but I mean, he has a 67% face-off win rate. That is a crazy face-off percentage for a center, going out there and winning 67% of the draws that you do take on the dot is pretty big for Nico Sturm. Obviously, this guy is a power forward. He leans more power forward. He hits guys. He wins faceoffs. He's a good defensive forward in that asset of the game. But so far this season, he has 11 points, which isn't bad considering who he's playing with in this bottom six for the San Jose Sharks. So I do like Nico Sturm, and I think he could bring a lot of value to a team in just his play. But another way he can bring value to a team is his contract. He's in the last year of his $2 million contract, so you know, he can come into, say, a Winnipeg Jets, say a Florida Panthers at very cheap. So it's a guy that they can add in their bottom six to win them those crucial faceoffs at times of need at a very cheap cap hit. And that's why there's going to be a lot of teams talking to Mike Grier here at the deadline saying, hey, we want to bring this guy in. He can easily fit under our cap. But teams are just going to say, we don't need to worry about the cap here. We can just bring him in and he can easily slide into a bottom six role for any team here. And if we just take a look at what Daily Faceoff has, they had him last season, his rank dipping down, but as you see here, the curve's coming back up. Sturm's having a good season. Yes, he has battled through injury this year, but has come back, has looked good since coming back, and at 29 years old, this guy's an asset for a lot of teams. And when I'm talking about Nico Sturm, a team that really fits the Nico Sturm style of play and a team that could really use him is the Winnipeg Jets. I think that's the number one team on my list right now for Nico Sturm because they need a center. They bring this guy in at very cheap. They can still go out and try to get that second line center like a Brock Nelson that they've been after, but they can also get Nico Sturm to fill out that bottom six, win them crucial draws, and just help them out in this playoff series where you kind of got a big guy here who plays a good defensive game. Any team is going to want this, and that's why his value is going to be good. It's not going to be a first, second round return or anything here, but I'm more looking at maybe like a fourth round pick. I think that's where I would put it at, maybe even a fifth at this point. But I do think it would be good for Sturm and for the Sharks to ship him out, get some value there, and then if they want to go after him in free agency, they definitely can. You can bring this guy in. He'll be 30 at that time, so, you know, he probably got to go to another 3-4 more years in him. You can sign him for another 3-year deal. I won't say he'll be getting a huge raise or anything, but I'd put him around that $2 to $3 million range where he is right now, and he could be a really good role model for these younger centers that the San Jose Sharks have, like Macklin Celebrini and all the ones they have coming up in their system. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here surrounding Nico Sturm. I think he's definitely going to get traded, but to where is the interesting part? Coming this week, we are going to see a lot of teams linked to him. We'll keep you guys updated on everything surrounding Nico Sturm. Once his price gets released and stuff like that, we'll let you guys know. But we got some fun news to get into here, and that's Sam Dickinson. If we just take a look at Sam Dickinson, this was a couple of games ago for Sam Dickinson, but I've seen this and I wanted to share it with you guys because Sam Dickinson had 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points in a 4-3 overtime win for the London Knights the other night, actually scoring the overtime winning goal for that team at that point in time. He had 44 assists, 22 goals, 66 points, and a plus 46 rating, which topped the OHL at that point in time. And now 2 more games on forward. In 44 games, he now has 67 points. That plus minus has stayed the same at plus 46. And seeing Sam Dickinson, the stuff that he is doing this season is unbelievable. This guy is lighting up the OHL. He's making it look like he's playing in a league with way lower caliber players than what he is right now. This guy is a gem. He's a diamond in the rough for the San Jose Sharks team, and he's going to come in next season. I'm calling it right now. He's making this team next season out of camp. I definitely see it. I think with the Sharks roster they have, with all the young guys they have, what do they have to lose than to bring him in, and get him? You don't want to stunt his development this season, but next year is the year to bring him in and really see what he's made of, because he is the future of the defensive position on the left-hand side for this San Jose Sharks team. He's such a great offensive defenseman. He also leans a bit two-way. He can get back. He's active with his stick. He doesn't mind blocking a few shots. He is a great defenseman. He's really developed over these last couple of years into a very, very high-end prospect in this NHL. A lot of people are excited for him outside the Sharks' domain to see him in the NHL, because he's coming in more like a Lane Hudson and Erik Karlsson back in the day. Like, he's up there right now with the hype around him and what he's doing in the OHL, scoring overtime winners, putting up a crazy amount of assists. 45 assists in 44 games. He is averaging over an assist a game. That is crazy to talk about, that he's averaging over an assist a game. And he also has 22 goals, which is half a goal a game. And he is defenseman. You got to remember this. He is a defenseman. We don't see defensemen very often put up numbers like this. So get excited for this guy, because if we just look at what the Sharks D core does look like right now, obviously we have Jake Wallman up there on that top pairing, and he's been very good. He's been a very great surprise for Sharks fans this year. I think this guy has been phenomenal. And obviously we got Muka Madulin down in that third pairing, who we've seen him come up from the AHL and really, been a blessing in disguise here. Been a great DFD for this team. And then we have Mario Ferraro, a guy who a lot of teams are going to be calling around surrounding trade deadline, just like we talked about with Nico Sturm. So if Ferraro gets moved out, that frees up a spot for Dickinson. You don't want to start him on the top pairing right away, his first year in the league. Maybe you give him, 16 minutes a night on that third pairing, see how he plays, and if he's playing good, continue to move him up this lineup, because he is definitely the future first pair. But if you can go out this free agency, get a very solid veteran defensive defenseman to pair with this guy, and free him up to do whatever he wants offensively, he is going to shock a lot of people, and I'm really excited to see what Sam Dickinson has in store when he comes over from the OHL, because this guy, I think, is one of my favorite Sharks prospects right now. I think he is. I mean, Chernyshov has been a great surprise in the OHL this season as well, but Sam Dickinson, can't wait to see him this season. Want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think he's going to come over and continue the success in the NHL, or do you think it's going to take him a little while to find that learning curve? Do you see him on the first pairing when he comes over? Do you see him as soon as next season? I want to hear everything, all your guys' thoughts on the Sharks down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road for 2,000 subscribers here. We just hit the 1K mark. I want to show my support to all of you guys who have subscribed to the channel already. We really do appreciate it. We're building a great community here, and if you want to be a part of that, make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. But as always, I've been your host, KC. Keep your stick on the ice.